Hi, welcome to my beginner sewing tutorial from a complete beginner. Today we are making a hoodie, no pattern needed. So I would consider myself to be a beginner, but maybe like adventurous beginner. I have like this confidence. I don't know where I got it, but I have a lot of confidence and I make lots of things. I thought it might be helpful for me to share my process with you and hopefully maybe inspire you to make something of your own or make yourself a little hoodie. Or maybe you're here just to watch me struggle, which is also totally fine. So I actually made some hoodies before. And this was my first one and I absolutely love it. It's super fun. It has a sad face here and then not now on the back side, which I think is really fun. I think it turned out really good. It's one of my favorite sewing projects I've ever done. I think it's super cute and I even washed it and it survived and it's just totally fine and I wore it a lot. So this is like a very successful project for me and I really like how it turned out. And I have a second one, which is this white one with little tassels going on at the bottom and it's like little cropped. And this was from IKEA throw, which is also really fun project. The material though was very challenging to work with, but I think this is also really cute. So here is how our process is gonna look like. First, we need to find our inspiration. What are we making? How it's gonna look like? Second, we are gonna find our fabric because fabric is really important for all the sewing projects. Third, we are gonna cut the pattern or trace the pattern from our existing garment. Then we are gonna cut all the pieces. Then we are gonna assemble all the pieces. And the last step is the most important of all, is to add Razzle Dazzle. And it can be like hanging strings or little cutouts or like little applications of the fabric, you name it. But it will make the project truly your own and that's the most exciting part for me. Let's get started. So our step one is to find the inspiration. And I think this is a very important step. Sometimes you just know what you want to make. I really want to make this black hoodie. But sometimes you just don't know. And I find that looking on the Pinterest and pinning all the things that you like to one board is really helpful. It will give you kind of like an idea. If you're making like an oversized crop, like really tight, what are you kind of aiming for? And I think this really helps to achieve the result that you really like. So find your inspiration, decide what you want to make, and then let's get started making it. So the second most important thing is the fabric. But I would say that you can do whatever you want. As long as you want to experiment, it's totally fine. If you want my recommendation, I would say as a beginner, don't pick anything that has potential to crumble, like very netty materials, and then anything that's very stretchy is very hard to sew. So if you want to achieve the hoodie, which is like this, like a proper sweatshirt hoodie, which is really nice. It kind of has this kind of draping effect, which I really like. You will have to pick like a sweatshirt material. It's material that has like this on the inside and it's not stretchy at all. For your hoodie, you will need two materials, one for main body or couple for main body if you want to make your hood and your pocket from a different one. And then you need something else for your cuffs and for the bottom. At least if you're making like this conventional style of the hoodie. For my project, this might be a total like giant mistake, but I decided to use this material. But I think like mistakes are good for us beginners. They're good for me. I learned that way at least. I decided to pick this material, which is fine. I think it's going to be easy to sew. I'm going to use this for a trim. At least I'm thinking that now. Maybe I won't. Let's see. But I'm using this material as our main material for the project. It's going to be easy to sew and we will see if that's going to make it like very pajama-y. I'm a little worried about that, but we'll see later. So let's go make a pattern. I have my table on the terrace here. It's nice if you have like a big table, but it's also totally fine if you don't have such a big table, and then you can make your projects on the floor. I make my projects on the floor sometimes. But I think for this project, the table is going to be fine. So for this step, we are going to start tracing our pattern. You will need something to trace your pattern from. I would not recommend to just freehand it. You need some guidance. If you don't want to use any piece of clothing that you already own, you can just measure bits of yourself and kind of try to estimate the pieces and how they're gonna be. But I think that's beyond my pay grade. I'm just here doing things. So basically you will need your piece of clothing. Hopefully that's a hoodie that you really like and you want to replicate, or you may want to make minor adjustments. Then you need your paper. So here is my paper. You will need your paper. So you will need to place your paper on your hoodie and trace the front panel of the hoodie and then the back panel of your hoodie. By panels or front and back panels, I mean without the hood, without the sleeves, you will see how your hoodie is constructed. Don't mind the pocket yet, but we are just tracing these two. And then you don't have to make the whole thing. You can just make a half, and then we will fold our fabric and cut it on the fold, meaning that you will have the full panel. So place your hoodie very neatly on the table or like a flat surface. Try to make sure it doesn't have any wrinkles or anything laying on top of it, and then place your paper. So now my paper is on my hoodie and everything is neat, and I'm trying to feel with my finger where the garment is, and then I'm drawing the line there. We can adjust this later if we want to. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to see where is the middle of that hoodie. Basically it's here, and then I'm gonna stop my pattern there because everything is gonna be mirrored to that side. So I'm not gonna trace the full hoodie, I'm just gonna try to note where the middle of that hoodie is, and I think it's approximately here. So here is the middle of that hoodie. So now this is basically my front piece almost done. I'm gonna take it off from the hoodie because it's gonna be easier for me to cut it with no hoodie underneath, and then make it also a little bit neater. I traced my front piece and I'm quite happy with it. We can adjust it a little bit later. So this side is going to be on the fold. This is our neckline, shoulder line. This is for our sleeve. This is the side, this is the bottom. And I wrote down that this is the front, so I don't confuse it with the back later. And then I'm ready to start cutting this out. Now with our front piece ready, we are gonna do the same thing for the back. After you've drawn the shape of your back piece, before you try to cut it or finish it, what I like to do is place my front piece right on top of it to see the length. So we are making two pieces the same length. And then the width, sometimes back panels are a bit longer, but I think in this case the back panel is not supposed to be longer or like different from the front piece, so it's basically identical pieces. They are not identical because of only because of the opening on the neck. Now we have one front, one back piece. They should look approximately like this. If you put one on top of another, their shoulders should match and the length of the pieces should approximately match. If they don't match, you can cut them more with your scissors. Now we are gonna go to make the sleeves. So for the sleeves, we only need to make one piece. Basically the same thing. So this is our pattern for the sleeve done. Let's make our little pocket. So you can adjust your pocket however you'd like. I'm gonna be making mine similar to this one, and I'm just gonna trace it as it is. So here is my little pattern for my pocket. Your pocket also can be on the fold, so you don't have to make it kind of this length. You can cut it in half. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do. So it's cutting things on the fold sometimes better, because you make sure that both sides are equal. So the last piece that I'm going to trace is the hood. About the hood, so if you want to make it bigger at this stage. We are gonna do 2 identical parts. If you look at this, there is like this crossing action going on. So you need to make it longer. So I'm gonna show you. When we are gonna trace our pattern, we are gonna make sure that this bit is longer, so when we attach it we can make the fabric cross. And you can play with the shape of your hood. We are not gonna do any drawstring or anything like that, because I think that complicates things quite a bit, but make sure that you make the base a bit longer than what you are tracing. So for the hood I have one piece like this, which looks like a weird helmet, but we are gonna cut 2 of these, attach them together, and then attach them to our hoodie. So now basically we have all our pieces of pattern ready. You can also make like little pattern for the cuffs and for the bottom trim of the hoodie, but basically what you should have at this point is 1 piece for the back, 1 piece for the front, 1 piece for the hood, 1 piece for the sleeve, and 1 piece for the pocket. And that's enough to start cutting from our fabric and then start assembling our hoodie. It's time to cut our pattern pieces from our fabric. Don't forget to leave some seam allowances, because in the patterns that I just made, I didn't leave any. If you left some already in your pattern, then you don't need to worry about that now, but cut with a little bit of seam allowance. Place your pattern on the fabric, then also make sure that your fabric is clean. So cut all your pieces really carefully. Make sure that your fabric doesn't have any wrinkles. You can iron it. You don't have to iron it. Sometimes your fabric is okay already, but just make sure that you don't have any wrinkles. You can pin your pattern to your fabric, or you can use some random weights. Then you need to make sure that you are leaving enough seam allowances. Make sure that around the pocket you leave more seam allowances, because we are gonna put in hands there, so it needs to be like folded and secure there. For the hood, make sure to make 4 pieces if you want to make like lining around your head. And also keep in mind that if your fabric has any pattern, the pattern needs to align, and sometimes that could be a little bit weird. Not speaking from the experience, definitely not, but we are gonna start assembling once you have all your pieces cut. We are gonna assemble starting from attaching front piece and back piece together on the shoulders. So the shoulder lines, we are gonna put them good size together, and then we are gonna attach them on the shoulder lines. And also we are gonna work on our hood. So for the hood, we now have 4 pieces. We are gonna attach our hood's 2 pieces right sides together. So on the curved line, so the line that goes like this around your head, and then on the other piece we are gonna sew it also right sides together. And these seams are gonna be hidden inside the hood, so we don't have to worry too much about them just yet. So you should have two pieces for the hood shown on the curved line, and then this piece attached front panel and back panel attached on the shoulders. Now we are gonna assemble our hood. What we are gonna do, I need to figure this out first. So basically I'm gonna attach like one hood like this, another hood like this, so right sides together, and I'm going to sew along this edge, which is our face opening, and then we are gonna try to turn this inside out, and then hopefully it's going to be like a miracle. It's going to be amazing. Make sure to pin this because you want these seams to align, and then let's see what happens. So it's moment of truth if I did this correctly or not. If we turn this, this should be like perfect hood on the inside and the outside. Oh, I think it worked. Look, I think it worked. It's kind of cool. Not like this, but oh whoa, it's like this. I think it worked kind of cool because now we have this seam, which is nice. Maybe we should top stitch this just so it's like nice. I think I'm not supposed to sound surprised inside the tutorial as I'm doing the tutorial. Now what we are gonna do, we are gonna attach it to our neckline. So basically what you want to do is you want to turn this right side out and then start pinning your hood, middle of the back of your hood to middle of the back of your hoodie, and then make a little crossing on the front. Pin this because if this moves, this is not gonna look really pretty. You want like the middle of the hood to be on the back. When you pinned it all the way to the front, make sure that you cross these two together, like the sides of your hood, like they will create this cross, so they will overlap each other. So when you turn this, this is gonna be like this nice crisscross action. After you carefully pin this, sew this, and then try it on and see if this works or not. So this is my hoodie now. This is like great success. So do you see this crisscross action? Like this side goes over and that side goes under. And this is what I was trying to explain. When you are sewing, you need one side to be here. And then if you don't make your hood long enough, this won't happen, which you will need to just adjust the size of your neckline. But so far, I'm pretty happy how this is looking. Let me put the hood on. Here is it with the hood. And I think this is looking so far really nice. I really like the size and the shape of the hood. So I would recommend, after you've done attaching your hood, to work on the stitches that you have, like on the seams, and make them nicer. You can make it with the zigzag stitch on your machine. I have a special stitch on my machine that I'm usually using. It produces like the seam like that. I cut it and then I use my stitch. It's almost like a serger. It's obviously not cutting any fabric, but if you have a serger, use a serger. It's going to be harder to reach those seams later. And then also, if you want like a cleaner look, you want to iron the seam flat so it doesn't poke, or you can also add a little stitch here that will keep the seam flat and not poking. After we've done attaching the hood and worked on our little seam, now it's time to do the pocket. We could have made the pocket before all of this hood business. You can make it first, like first step of your project, but I'm gonna make it now. It doesn't really matter. It's gonna be more difficult to attach it when you have everything attached, but basically what we need to do is we need to define the placement of the pocket. How do you want to do that? You can just wing it, or you can measure it. I'm gonna do like a mixture of winging it and measuring it. I'm gonna try to measure it and pin it and then see in the mirror if I like it or not. But basically the first thing that you need to do is you need to decide where your pocket is gonna be. And that's, I guess, the hardest part about the pocket. Also, we want to make the sides better. Wait. So actually the first step is to fold these sides nicely so we can attach our pocket, because these sides are not going to be attached to our fabric. I'm just going to do like a little double fold, nothing fancy, just double folding them in and sewing. And then what I like to do is I like to take the front panel and find the middle of it by folding. I think that's the easiest method. So mark it with your fabric marker that's erasable, like the middle of your front panel, and then mark the middle of your pocket, the bottom portion of your pocket. So to find the middle, again fold it and mark it. So basically our pocket is gonna be almost at the bottom of our hoodie. So the placement is basically at the bottom. We probably won't even close it at the bottom. So I'm gonna pin it like this, matching the middle of the pocket with the middle of the bottom of the front panel. I'm gonna pin it like this, try it on, see if I like it. And then after that we can attach it in place. Once you are happy with your pocket placement, you need to attach it only on the top. So basically I pinned it like this. I'm gonna iron this so I have this nice like line on the top, and then I pinned it at the bottom in the same place. I'm gonna stitch it here on the bottom, and then I'm going to attach the sides. So this line is basically only one thing that you have to nail. Everything else is going to be easier. We're going to attach our pocket only on the front portion and on the sides, and we are going to do it from the inside of the hoodie. And the bottom we will leave open for now because it will be covered with the trim on the bottom. Let's do it. So I attached my pocket to my front panel and I think it looks nice. Yeah, I lost my front pocket, so here it is. And I started attaching the sleeve already. So what you want to do is you want to put right sides together and just carefully attach it, finding the center of your sleeve and pinning it to the center. Your center is going to be basically the line where the front panel meets the back panel, and you want to attach that and also finish that seam immediately because later it's going to be a little bit annoying. So we are going to do that actually tomorrow because my brain is mushy. I think it's important to take breaks, especially for beginners, because then you make lots of mistakes and then you have to undo lots of things. Definitely hasn't happened to me. That thing. I've never undone anything. I'm just basically always sewing perfectly, but I'm gonna take a break because I think I need it, and we are gonna continue tomorrow. And I feel like we are almost done. We have some fun stuff coming up tomorrow. It's the next day. I took my little break, a little bit more than a little break. This is turning out to be really good. I think this is looking like a hoodie almost. It's not attached on the sides, but I attached the shoulders. I just simply attached it like here, and it's still very much open on the sides. So basically hoodie is not closed, it's just like this. And what we are going to do now, we are going to close it. And basically what I like to do is I like to do one big seam. So basically connecting the hoodie together on the side, so it includes the sleeve and the hoodie itself. And we are gonna do two big seams. Don't forget to turn your hoodie inside out and do the seam on the wrong side. So basically connecting the shoulder and the body all together with one big seam. Let's go back inside to sew. I need to check how this looks because sometimes it doesn't match anymore, but I think this kind of matches. I just don't want it to be like completely different lengths all over because that's gonna be like weird to work with later. I'm not gonna pin it now because you should pin it. Definitely don't do what I do, but I think this is pretty easy for me to just sew like this because the only marking for me is this seam, like on the shoulder. Not on the shoulder, on your armpit, where the sleeve connects. I want this to match because otherwise it's going to be a little weird. Other than that, I think this is going to be totally fine to do just winging it, basically. I'm going to pin only one point, so I'm going to pin this armpit bit. And then I'm going to just sew it in one big seam. Once I sew this together, I'm gonna immediately work on this seam because it's gonna be easier that way. I'm gonna just make sure that both sides are kind of even length, and then we can sew your zigzag stitch, or if your machine has like a better stitch, use that. So this is my hoodie right now. Don't forget to try it on. And I really like it. I think it turned out really good. I really like the length of the sleeves and the length of the hoodie. Of course, we are gonna add our little trim, but as we are gonna fold this a little bit, I think it's not gonna add too much length. Also on the sleeves, if you want to cut it, you can cut it if the length was kind of wrong. It's always good to go a bit longer. Just in case, but I kind of like my sleeves this length, so I'm gonna aim to have my trim to be kind of this length. So our final step in like assembling the hoodie is gonna be to add our little trim, and I'm using this material and I think it's gonna fit very nicely. Now when I'm looking at it, I think it's gonna work perfectly. So what you need to do is you need to cut pieces on the fold. So basically this folded edge is going to be the edge of your sleeve or the edge of your hoodie. For the cuffs, you need to measure this approximately like this, adding a little bit of the seam allowance and cutting it basically like this. You can mark it with a little pin where you want to cut it, add a little bit of seam allowance. Don't forget that step. And you are going to be doing this like on the fold. That's important that it's on the fold, so the edge is nice and folded like this. And then measure how much you want your cuff to be, and then do the same thing for the bottom. So the length that of the piece that you want doesn't have to match your hoodie. You want it to be a little bit less than this circumference. So basically you want the cuffs to be more snug than your sleeve, and then it will create this kind of nice cinching effect. Same on the bottom, it's gonna just slightly gather your fabric. First cut, and then I'm gonna show you how to attach it to the hoodie and to the sleeves. So I'm not really fond of this step, I don't really like it, but we are gonna go through this together. How I'm gonna measure this, I'm gonna measure this length, not stretching anything, nothing, twice. So basically the whole circumference of the hoodie on here. And then approximately take 1/4 of it away. So like in the middle of the second piece. So it's gonna be less than 2 hoodies. And then I'm gonna see if this is kind of good fit for me, or if I want to make it a little bit less snug, and then still check if it goes around me. Because if it's gonna be too tight, it's not gonna be fun. So basically you are measuring the tightness of your trim. And then you want to fold it, cut it, the size that you want. This is where I'm just marking where I wanted this to be. And then I don't want to waste this fabric, so I'm gonna try to be neat about it. Oh, I removed my pin immediately, nice. Nicely done. So, how I'm gonna do this? So now I'm gonna use my rotary cutter and cut this. I'm not sure if this is the right way to do things, but I think it's gonna be fine. I actually don't like my rotary cutter that much. I know that people say that you can get much better results with it, but I don't know, I just don't like it. I think this is the last bit that I need. I don't need any more. I think this is also a little bit more than I actually need, but this is a good thing because I can make adjustments. I don't know where I'm going with this tutorial. I don't know if this is helpful. But I think it would have been helpful for me, because when I was looking for tutorials when I just started sewing, it was all very overwhelming, and hopefully this gives you a more realistic view on how this actually is. I'm very happy. I'm very happy on how snug it is around me. So What I'm gonna do now, I'm going to attach this on the wrong side. So I'm gonna do a seam like this. It's gonna help us hide it because we are gonna fold it later. And we are gonna attach it, unfortunately, when it's already like this. It's a little bit annoying, but we can manage, I'm sure. Let's do it. I ironed my trim and it's nice and flat now. I think it's going to be easier to attach this way. So what you want to do, your hoodie has two sides and then you can find the middle of the front and the middle of the back. Then this thing also has, you can find two sides and then middle of this side and middle of that side. So divide it into 4 portions and then carefully pin all those 4 marks together. So basically side of your trim to the side of the hoodie and then middle of the hoodie to the middle of one elastic, like one side of the trim. So I'm gonna pin this. I'm gonna first find the middle by folding my hoodie in half. So I'm gonna fold this and then I'm gonna mark this. Here I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna mark the middle of it and then I'm gonna fold it again. So I'm pinning side to the side first. Don't forget to pin your elastic inside your hoodie and going down like this. Then I'm gonna find center of my back piece and pin it to the middle. Then the middle of my trim to other side. And then the last thing is our last corner, the middle of the front to the middle of the last bit. So it's supposed to look something like this. And then when you are gonna sew, you are gonna pull your trim so it fits perfectly your segment that you are sewing. You can make more segments if you feel like it, or like if the circumference of your hoodie is really big, you are making something big, then you want to make more. I think 4 is fine for me. You can also wing it and make less. I like to make 4. I think 4 is like safe option. And then start sewing it. Now it's the moment of truth, if we succeeded with this or not. I kind of feel that we might have succeeded. I actually think this looks pretty nice. What do you think? I think this is very nice job. And then we need to check that the pocket got up all the way, because if there is going to be a hole, you're going to lose all the stuff that you put in the pocket, but I think it's fine. And now I'm gonna cut this and finish the seam, and then we will start working on our sleeves. I'm really happy with this, that it worked out at the end. I was worried that it's gonna somehow not work out for me, but I'm pretty happy with this. I think this looks nice. Now it's time to do the sleeves, and so for the sleeves we are gonna repeat the same procedure. It's just smaller things, and it's gonna be, we will have to be a bit more careful when we sew them, but when we attach them. But basically I'm gonna measure the length that I want, and then I'm gonna attach them. My cuffs are gonna be like this. I'm gonna attach them again on the wrong sides, just this line, and then secure that seam. Same for this thing, and then we are gonna attach it to our hoodie. Hopefully this works. But this is the same thing that we did with the bottom trim, so how this could go wrong, I don't know. I think we are almost done with this, and I attached my little cuffs, and I'm pretty happy I'm pretty happy with how it looks now. I think it looks pretty cool. So it's time for the fun part. This looks a little bit pajama-y, so I thought what I would do to make it look a bit better. I'm gonna use this, and I'm going to reinforce a couple of sheep with the black thread, and I think it's gonna look adorable. I don't know if I'm gonna succeed. I'm just gonna do a couple of sheep. I wanna do them couple on the front and couple on the back probably. This part is very difficult already. Kind of failing without starting. Oh, okay, fun. Now it looks like this, and I think it's gonna be nice and easy. Nothing is ever easy. So I'm gonna stop for today. I only did one sheep, and it took me quite a bit of time. Unexpected, I know. Maybe I should have thought about that. But I'm not gonna finish this today. I'm gonna work on it, chill, and I'm gonna watch a movie while working it. I also thought that I might add these two colors. I probably don't have anything else, so it's gonna be red and green. And yeah, probably you'll see me next time when I have already the result. Really exciting. So I wanted to film in here, but actually Saima, do you see her? She's working here. Or maybe like pretending to work here, so I don't want to disturb her. We can film this later. Are you ready for the reveal? Ta-da! I think it's actually really cool. I think it turned out really good. It took me like bajillion hours to finish all these sheep, but I think they turned out really cool. And I think I kind of solved the problem that I was having in the beginning, that this will give like a pajama feel, but I think now it's like perfect. It's like fun and playful. It's also really light material. I don't think like it's the perfect material for the hoodie, but it was really easy to work with, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think this no, it's not a project, but I think this project is totally doable for a beginner. Let me know if process made sense, at least any sense, if it was helpful, if you were able to do it. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to help. And I hope you make one of these hoodies your own and go crazy. Pick a wild fabric, make a crazy design, make two hoods, really big hood, no hood at all, no pocket at all, tassels, all the stuff like that. And I think that's really fun and creative way to approach this. And I really like how this hoodie turned out. I don't know why, but things with hoods make me wanna say things like, "Luke, I'm your father." So this is actually the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you want more creative videos, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Stay inspired and see you soon. Luke, I'm your father.